Connie, go ahead.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the Neighborhood Bird Project class. We're going to start our class out today with a little quiz on um, warblers and vireos. So please get out a pencil and a paper. And what I would like for you to do on this quiz is write down as many details as you can. Don't just write down the species, but if you can identify the gender or the age, or whether it's in breeding plumage or winter plumage or not, that'd be great. Just more practice for all of us. And then after we finish that, we will go on to the class. So I'm going to share screen now. And let's take a view here. All right, so this is the first bird. And write down what you think it is and if you can tell anything about it. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Here's the fourth one. Here's the fifth one. Hmm. Here's the sixth one. Here's the seventh one. Here's the eighth one. Here's the ninth one. Here's the 10th one. Here's the 11th one. Here's the 12th one. Here's the 13th one. Here's the 14th one. Here's the 15th one. I think that's the last. Oh, nope, here's one more. I had more than I thought. That's the last one. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Don't get dizzy. There we go. All right, so unmute yourselves and let me know what you think this is and why you think it. Anyone?
So Wilson's Warbler.
Okay, and why do you say that?
It's got the black little hat.
Okay, black cap on the top and otherwise very yellow in the face, right?
Yes. And
Okay,
no other markings, it looks like.
yeah, no other markings, but yellow all the way from the chin clear through the belly and down to the yellow undertail coverts as well. Um, and notice the wings don't have any bars at all. So, and they don't have a whole lot of gray either. So these are all good field marks, but the diagnostic field mark for Wilson's Warbler male is this black. I call it a yarmulke because it's not really quite a cap, but it looks a little bit like that. But otherwise, very yellow bird. One of the most yellow birds that we get. What about this one?
Common yellow throat.
Male or female?
I guess a female.
Nope, it's a male. It is a common yellow throat. Why did you say that?
Um, why did I guess female?
No, why did you say common yellow throat?
Oh, the black Zorro mask and the white above and yellow below.
Yes, that's quite right. So only the males have that black Zorro mask. The females would have a very plain face. But yes, the common yellow throat, very bright, especially in breeding plumage, the bright yellow throat from which it gets its name, and then the black Zorro mask with white above, and then otherwise extremely plain bird, all the way from the crown clear back to the tail there. No real markings. Who can tell me if what the underparts are like from memory? Anybody?
Maybe a yellow armpit.
No. Okay, so that's your homework is to open your book and write down for your own purposes what the underparts are. So one of the things that I urge you to do as you go through these 80 plus species for the Neighborhood Bird Project is to become so familiar with the field marks of each of the species that we're covering that you could close your eyes and describe the bird from memory. When you can do that, then that's when you'll know that you have really mastered that species, especially if you can tie the song to that species. So I think a good exercise to do by yourself from time to time is to just close your eyes and pick any bird, like a song sparrow or so, and start from the bill and work your way back and describe all the field marks that you can remember, and then check it out in the book. What about this one? Anyone?
Sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet. A yellow warbler.
That's the yellow warbler. And why do you say that?
The yellow head, bright yellow head with black eye, the grayish or greenish gray back with what am I saying, the yellow and black feathers on the wings.
All of those are very good field marks. Also, I want you to pay particular attention to the fact that the whole face is plain, but there's a yellow eye ring, and it gives the whole head a kind of a circular feeling, which is very different from another bird that can look a little bit like this, which is the orange crown warbler. Also notice that unlike the Wilson's warbler, we've got a couple of wing bars here. They're a little bit hard to see in a way because they're not white. They're sort of, well, they're yellow, but the yellow kind of fades into the feathers on the tertials as well. So it's a little bit hard to see them, but nevertheless, there's a pattern there that you should notice because that will help you with fall yellow warblers, especially fall females. That will help you tell them apart from the common yellow throat first year birds as well. Otherwise, it would be very, very difficult. Also, notice that the yellow on the wings is looks like it outlines the wing you see here, so there's sort of like a black center and then a yellow all the way around, but the yellow is wider on one side of the feather than the other, so it's asymmetrical a little bit. What about this one? Oh, by the way, on the yellow warbler, could you tell if it was a male or a female?
I couldn't. I think there's something about how much yellow is on the wing feathers, right?
No, it's the diagnostic field mark for the males is those red stripes on their chest and along their flanks and so on, which we couldn't see in that picture.
Right, but I thought you said last week there was something about the wing feathers that the females had less yellow, more yellow.
I don't think so. I think the wings are the same. If I said that, I take it back.
Let's see.
Orange crown.
Why do you say that?
There's a little bit of orange
Yeah, that's actually a very good field mark on the top there.
that has the faint eye line through the eye.
Yeah, that's a very diagnostic mark because you're not always going to see this orange. In fact, it's rare to see the orange of their crown in the field. You have to have good light, and the bird has to be showing its feathers properly without overlapping the kind of olive greenish feathers. But yeah, you want to look for this eye line that goes through, and then a faint hint of a supercilium, usually in kind of a yellowish, orangish color. And that tends to give the whole face a kind of a horizontal, drawn-out look, very different from the roundness look that you get in a yellow warbler. Otherwise, it can be kind of hard to tell them apart. Although this doesn't have wing bars, as you see, and but yellow from the chin all the way back to the undertail coverts. The amount of yellow in an orange-crowned warbler can vary quite a bit. So there's a lot of different plumages. In some subspecies, for example, the head is sort of grayish. And in many of these orange-crowned warblers, it's not as yellow as this by any means. It's more of a olive color, and in particular on the underparts, that's quite true. Another thing to notice about orange-crowned warblers, not in this picture, but oftentimes in the field, in my experience anyway, is you get a kind of sense of a little bit of stripiness, very faint kind of, but fairly wide, not streaks, grayish stripes that are in the front there. That's very common. Not every bird has it, but a lot of them do.
Yeah. Honey, back on the previous yellow warbler, the Sibley says that the females do have white edges on the wing feathers.
I don't believe it, but okay. All right, I would have to. I don't believe that, Bill. I'm going to have to look at this.
It's the point in the handbook here, but
okay, all right.
But you're allowed not to believe.
Yeah, I'm going to check.
Yeah,
on
science. What's it good for?
I'm going to check on Macaulay's library and see if that's really true. I don't agree with that. Okay. They're probably beigey. Anyway, remember we had that discussion about beige and white. All right, what's this one? This one is a bit of a puzzle to me, honestly. Anyone?
Even with a butter butt?
Yellow-rumped warbler.
Yes, this is a yellow-rumped warbler, as some people call them butterbutts as a nickname. Here's the yellow here, and then of course yellow at the bend of the wing. What puzzles me about this bird is right up here. So this is a white-throated one, which means it's a myrtle in coloration as opposed to an Audubon, which would have a yellow throat. But what's going on up here? This should be, if this were in breeding plumage, this is a very bright bird. Look at how bright this the yellow here is by the bend of the wing. That indicates breeding plumage, and all of these stripes here, it's coming into breeding plumage. If it's not a female, which I can't tell if it's a female or a male coming into breeding plumage, but this spot on its head should be a brighter yellow. So I'm not sure what's going on with that bird. Is it maybe a first-year bird or just what? It's a puzzle. So it's not a puzzle what the species is, but
It'd be fun to know what month it was photographed.
Yeah, this picture was taken from National Audubon, and I'm wondering if I got it from the online National Audubon field guide. I'm going to have to double check on that and see And then that would tell you what month it was, but I did not record that on on this picture. Okay, what's this one?
Hutton's Vireo,
And why do you say that?
because it looks like my friend the kinglet, but it doesn't have a black rectangle bar on its wing.
Yes, that's exactly right. And this one is an interesting bird. So we start here. It's got the kind of scowly look to the eye because it's a broken eye ring, but bigger behind the eye than in front. Otherwise, very plain, although it does have these wing bars here. It really has two. This one's kind of hidden up here. Here's a bigger one here. And this is where you look to see if it's a kinglet, a ruby-crowned kinglet. And this might puzzle you in the field. If you're looking through your binoculars, you might say, well, that looks dark and it's sort of got a rectangular shape and I'm a little bit uncertain. And when that happens, if that does happen to you, look down at the feet. And here you see the toes are black, and in a ruby crowned kinglet, they would be golden. So that's another good field mark. So this is the diagnostic field mark here. If it's smudgy like this and not real black, it doesn't have a rectangular shape, then it's definitely a Hutton's Vireo. But if you get a bird like this that puzzles you a little bit, look at the feet, and then that should tell you everything you need to know. What about this one? Anyone?
Juvenile.
Or Yamaka.
So,
Juvenile. Yeah, Wilson's.
this is a Wilson's warbler, another Wilson's. And do you think it's a female or do you think it's a first-year male? I don't know. I would have to look at the month, probably. I think it's a female. That would be my guess. But anyhow, yeah, so you get this hint of a yarmulke here. So many of the females of these wood warblers look like the males more or less, but very much more washed out. Otherwise, yellow all over the place from the chin, clear back down to the undertail coverts. The folded up wings here don't tell you very much. So that's not a very good field mark to tell you it apart from a yellow warbler. Except there's just grayer altogether. I think I'd see more yellow in the near the ratchets, what would look like the ratchets, though it's not. It's the outer bracts of the individual wing feathers. But then you get this suggestion of a yarmulke on top there. So yeah, Wilson's warbler. What about this one?
The Nashville warbler?
And male or female?
Oh. Well, I'll say male.
Because it's so bright?
Well, and because it just fits the characteristics that I was learning.
Yeah.
Hood, white eye ring, and yellow throat.
Yes, that's right. This bold white eye ring with a gray hood, but the hood stops right below the gape. It doesn't go all the way around to the chin. That's diagnostic. It's a way to tell it apart from McGilvray's. It's got the yellow throat. The yellow does not go all the way to the back, though. You get this color break down here just behind the belly, and it's white, and then the yellow picks up again on the undertail coverts. No wing bars or anything. This is anomalous in the photo. That's just some feather that got blown up there. It's not color on the back or anything. What about this one?
Ruby crown kinglet.
And that is because
It's got the black
rectangle.
angle, and it's got the golden slippers, and it's got the right bill.
Yep, all of those things are wonderful field marks. This is a ruby crown kinglet. What about this one? Anyone?
Female
common-
common yellow throat.
Can you repeat?
Female common yellow throat.
And you say that because?
It's got a yellow throat and nothing else.
That's about the size of it. So this eye ring can look kind of prominent with some of these birds, but it's not a Nashville prominence. It just it's highly variable. With a lot of them, it's hardly even there at all. But then you look at this throat, And notice how the color, even if it's not very bright, and in some of the fall birds, it's just hardly there at all, but still there's a color difference here. It's brighter up here than it is as it kind of fades out toward the belly. There's usually a little bit of a color break in here, and then picks up with yellow under the undertail coverts. Otherwise, extremely plain. This is a female, and in the springtime, they can get reasonably bright in the throat here. Not as bright as the males, but in the fall, boy, they can really look dull. And then you just have to say, well, there's not anything going on, just as you said. But you can still look, and even in the dullest ones, you'll usually notice that there's a little bit brighter color of yellow, or even sort of beigey yellow under the in the throat. What about this one?
Yellow-rumped warbler.
And this is do you think this is in breeding plumage, a female, or winter plumage, whatever? I think this might be a female in winter plumage. Very dull, but still, it's not the yellow under the bend of the wing is not very bright. The yellow rump is there in all plumages. So yeah, this is a very dull bird, but this is what we usually see with these yellow-rumped warblers in the winter. They spend the winter here and breed in Alaska. So right now it's mid-March, and they're changing into their breeding plumage, which they do down here. So one of the things, if you really get interested in this, you can pursue if you want, is the way these birds of various species molt into breeding plumage. Some will do it down in their winter grounds, as the yellow-rumped warblers do here. Others will molt along the way. I'm thinking of Dunlin, for example, and others will wait until they get up to where their breeding habitat is, and then they'll change there, and everything in between. So it depends on the species. What do you think this is? Anyone?
Hutton's Vireo.
No, it's not a Hutton's Vireo. You were fooled, I think, by this little patch back here, weren't you? But no, it's not.
I think
Which
it's
kind?
the legs.
And the legs. Someone else spoke up. What is it?
Ruby
Female
Crown Kinglet?
Nashville.
Ruby Crown Kinglet? No, and it's not a Nashville warbler either. In
It's
fact,
the other Vireo. It's the other one.
the other Vireo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Cassin's Vireo. So this is, for most of the neighborhood bird project sites, you're not going to see much of this guy, but you should see a few of them, especially in migration. So be on the lookout over the next 2 months. They won't stay. I don't think they breed anywhere in Seattle, although I'd have to check with the Discovery Park people, but I don't think so. So what makes it a vireo? Well, you can look at the bill at first, and you can see that the culmen on the top is a little bit curved, but I can tell you from personal experience that is difficult to see in the field, but in this photo you can see it. But then when you look at the head here, it's got a complete eye ring, so this cannot be a ruby crowned kinglet or a Hutton's Vireo, because there's not that scowly look. Instead, it's a complete eye ring. But look at what happens to the eye ring when it goes across the forehead. It goes, the pale color is not really, it's kind of a dirty white. Sometimes it can be very bright white, but in this case not. And it goes all the way across and joins with the eye ring on the other side of this bird's head. So it looks like spectacles, like the kinds of spectacles that people used to perch on their noses. And that's very, very common with vireos. So we do not get many vireo species in Washington State. In the eastern part of the country, there are many more species, and most of them have this spectacle look. So the other, we get basically four, let's see, we get Cassins, blue-headed, red-eyed, and Huttons. And of those 4 species, 2 of them don't really show that spectacle look very much, so we don't necessarily think of spectacles when we think of vireos. If you were in the east, that's the first thing that would come to mind is, oh, look at those spectacles there, and then you'd start thinking, what kind of vireo is that? So just kind of make a mental note to yourself that when you see this complete white eye ring and then this little bit of white that goes across the face here, right by the bill, think vireo. So this is a Cassin's vireo, and why is that? It's not blue-headed. Partly it's not blue-headed because blue-headed would be very unusual in Western Washington. There are records, but not very many. It's more of a Rocky Mountain bird. But having said that, you can't just go by location. You have to be a little more on top of things than that. And what we look for here is this area right in here. So with a Cassin's vireo, as you see here, the gray of the head kind of fades gradually into a paler color on the throat. There's not a distinct line of color break. If this were a blue-headed vireo, you would have a very distinct line here where the hood would be a little bit darker, a little bit bluer, not so gray, but that's hard to see. But the throat would be much whiter, so you'd get a much better sense that, oh, here's this hood stops here, and the throat starts, which here you can't really say where the hood stops and where the throat color starts. So that's very common and diagnostic for Cassin's vireo. What do you think that is?
Townsend's warbler.
And do you think it's a male or a female? Or a first-year male?
I'm not sure. It seems pretty bright, so I'll say male.
That's a good guess, but nope, this happens to be a female. So with these females, they can look a little bright, but what you want to look at here is the black color on the crown, and then this beautiful black surround here, especially on the cheek patch. And you notice that here it's just not very black. If you compare the color here to the color here, you can see that on the cheek here, it's not black at all. It's just it's kind of a muddy sort of brown compared to the dense black of this stripe right here. So that's sometimes if you're looking at a bird and a particular part of the plumage and the light is such that you're getting a lot of color skewing, and you can get confused by that. One thing you can do is you can practice comparing different parts of the bird to itself. So here we have this dense black, and here we don't have a dense black, so it cannot be at least a male in breeding plumage. It might be a first-year male, but I don't think so because the stripes here are so distinct. So one of the things that would throw me off is this little hint of black here in the throat. So female Townsend's warblers have yellow throats, but here's this kind of stripe of kind of a wide stripe of blackish feathers too. So what's going on with that? And the answer is that some females do show a little bit of black in the throat there. Most of the females that you'll see will have complete yellow on the throat, but don't be fooled if you get one that looks like this. So yes, this is a female Townsend's warbler. What about this one?
Black-throated gray warbler.
That's right. And is it a male or a female?
I think male, because the bib goes all the way around, but I'm not totally sure.
Okay, this is a black-throated gray warbler, and think about the name, black-throated gray warbler. So the black-throated gray warbler, most of these common names, by the way, are based on males. So a male black-throated gray warbler would have a black throat here. So this would be very dense black. And you see here that it's not. It's got, mostly it's white, with a little bit of black plumage thrown in and then this black collar. So, and the black-throated gray warbler, the gray comes from the back here. So maybe that's a way of telling you, kind of reminding you that this is a female because it doesn't quite match the name. It's not black-throated. But still, so that means it's not a male, basically, it's a female. So the diagnostic field marks are this yellow spot here. It's supraloral, they call it, so just above the lores, which would be here. And then this beautiful black, white, and then 2 white wing bars and stripes going, black stripes going down the flanks. Otherwise, very white from the this black collar all the way back to the undertail coverts. So black-throated gray warbler female. What about this one? Anyone?
WAVI.
WAZI. What is that?
WAVI.
Oh, warbling vireo. Yes. So that's correct. And we'll look at the field marks here. So this has a very typical vireo bill, but once again, as I've told you, this can be hard to see in the field, but vireo bill tends to have a little bit of a curvature. This one looks a little too straight for my taste, but there you have it. And usually a hook on the end. And then very plain, so it's got a kind of grayish cap and then a white supercilium. Just a little hint that there might be a spectacle in there and then going across the forehead, but not really compared to the Cassins. And then everything else just very plain, sort of olivey green on the back and very plain brownish wings and brownish tail. And if you were to look at the underparts, they're kind of whitish with maybe a little wash of yellowish or greenish. So one of the most nondescript birds, and actually we've seen quite a few nondescript birds in this class, but this one kind of tops the list, I guess you could say. So when you're thinking about what kind of vireo this is, once you've decided it's a vireo, I get confused honestly between these and a red-eyed vireo because I have a hard time seeing stripes. My eye gets kind of confused. But with this warbling vireo, the stripes are plain, so it's just got this one supercilium here. If it were a red-eyed, there would be a little strip of black above that. A little bit of a hint of an eye stripe through the eye, but just a kind of a hint. So warbling vireo. What about this one?
McGilvery's.
And male or female?
I don't know.
So, huh?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. This is a female, and so the field marks are, you notice that it's got this gray hood, and the hood, unlike the Nashville warbler, goes all the way down to the breast. So if this were a Nashville warbler, you'd get this color break here by the gape, and then the throat would be yellow. And then another diagnostic field mark is this broken eye ring, which is a big one. It's a wide white eye ring, but broken. So it looks like it's got parentheses around the eye, but the parentheses are lying on their sides. That's how I kind of think of this. Female because the hood is so pale. So like so many of these wood warblers, the females look like the males, just a hint of it, but much more washed out. So if this were a male, the hood would be very, very dark. And then below the hood, you get this beautiful yellow that goes all the way to the undertail coverts. Now, tell me, who can tell me, does this bird have wing bars or not? So that's another one that I want you to kind of to look in your books and kind of make a mental note of that, because the thing about these warblers, and vireos too for that matter, is they tend to be very fast-moving birds. And mostly in the field, what you're going to do is you're going to get a very brief look of part of a bird. And if you're lucky, the part that you get to look at is the diagnostic part. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and so you have to know all the parts of the bird. And if you don't see the diagnostic part, you kind of have to keep your binoculars on it for a while as it hovers and moves in amongst the foliage, and you might lose it, or it might hide behind a leaf or something. There's always a stick in the way or something. But if you keep tracking it with your binoculars, most often you will see enough of the bird eventually to tell you what it is. So it really helps to know on all birds really, but especially with warblers, what all the parts of the bird might be. So one of the things that I do, even now, after all these years, is I'll take my field guide and just kind of leaf through it and pick a few birds and study them and try to kind of fix in my mind what these different field marks are. So that is the end of our little quiz for today, and we're going to end the recording now, and I'll take up with you